All right, what's poppin', party pundits? We are in for another episode. Not only that, this is episode 50 of Pop
Oh,
Talk,
shit.
and this is our holiday special as we coming up. So, as usual, I'm Professor Nims. I'm signing on for the Casual Rand,
Peace.
Coach Dave, and Boston Jared.
Yeah.
And we are the pundits of pugilism, bringing you the most erudite boxing content on the internet. So we want to first make sure that you like and subscribe. We've been pushing those subscriptions up, and we appreciate all the comments. We appreciate the dialogue that we've been creating with some of our topics. And somebody said that that they were looking for a boxing show that kind of brings they said objectiveness, maybe like objectivity is what they were searching for, but to this content. And I really do appreciate that, because that is something that we are trying to do. Maybe not the casual one, because he is a paid correspondent with PBC, but everybody else, we try to keep that up. But we appreciate all of those comments. But I'm not gonna take too much for the pre-fight pleasantry, and we want to get right into the content for this week. We want to give a shout out to what I always kind of talk about this, what can be a star-making performance, and this was your man Frank Martin, who fought basically a title elimination fight with Michelle Rivera this weekend on Showtime. And I thought that he not only lived up to his hype and his building. I think he was the favorite for the fight, but he was ranked lower than Michelle Rivera. But I thought he put in a masterful performance. He showed quick hands, quick feet, not only quick feet, but good footwork, good boxing IQ, showed good power, and dropping your boy. And there was not a lot that, you can find to kind of critique this performance. So let's, since we're just getting him back, Coach Dave, did you get an opportunity to watch this fight over the weekend? You're on mute. You're on mute, right, Coach?
Okay, my bad. Yeah. No, I watched it and I rewatched it though. So I ain't gonna completely challenge or disagree.
No. We don't mind.
You said it want a whole lot to critique. So first of all, let me say, I think within the WBC, I think Rivera was ranked number 9, something like 9 or 8. I'm not sure which one. So absolutely, just a great fight. And I like my man. I like Martin a lot. I really like him a lot, man. In fact, these southpaws, I like him, man. But I thought it was a great, stunning performance. But coming from that coach's angle, hey, look, man. When he throw that brick hand, man, when he throw that left brick hand, I saw that back foot coming up the majority of times that he would throw it, which means he's either reaching and then plus he's squaring up. All right. So just not a cool thing to do, man. And also, so now don't get me wrong. Now hear me out. The dude's performance I think was great, but I just terms of coming from a coach's angle in terms of, look, how are we gonna stop this up and coming guy if he's ever crossed the ring from hit hard boxing? This is the thing that we're gonna do to bring that thump to this man. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He reaches with that daggone brick hand often. You go back, you watch that fight. Every time you see that left hand come, I'm telling you right now, 6 or 7 times out of 10, that back foot is coming in and squaring up.
Well, even if you listen to his corner, if you listen closely, they said stop reaching, right, with his punch. I thought that was part of it was a product of fighting a tall, kind of rangy fighter who was able to, at some points, establish some distance, even though Martin was able to overcome it with his footwork. But I heard almost in every round where the coach would say, like, don't reach with your punches.
And I say that to say because when you talk about this guy's footwork, a part of a fighter reaching is that he's not using his footwork. He might be skilled, have the agility and athleticism, Cam, but the man still got to grow a lot on using that footwork and those head fakes and his fakes to get in range, man. So those are two major things. And I think that last thing too, man. I love how when he was fighting an orthodox fighter, man, I love how he did work to get, that right foot to the outside. But the majority of the times he won that battle in terms of when you got a southpaw and an orthodox, he's fighting to get to that outside. But the thing that I didn't like is that instead of with some fakes or something, he hopped and lunged. Like you knew he was going for the outside. There was no fake or just diversity or confusing the guy to work to get to that outside. He would jump and lunge to get to that outside. Now, he beat Rivera, which is a 12-foot joker, but there was no fake and creativity to get to the outside. You cannot do that, man, against a Shakur or Tank or
So and then against Rivera. No, you bring some good points, but I guess I will say this, and I'll throw it to Boston. He seems to be chomping at the bit. Yeah. Is that I thought Rivera made the footwork battle very, very easy. The guy was circling to his right the whole time. It didn't seem like he was even concerned with getting his outside foot or which would be his left foot outside of there. And the only thing
that's he had bricks. He got bricks in his feet.
Yeah, but even his corner, like where is his corner and say, listen, you're circling the wrong way. Make sure that you establish these good angles. But go ahead, Boston.
I mean, you pretty much. When Dave mentioned the footwork battle, I was going to try and jump in and say that it really was no battle to be fought. This kid, I'm not sure if he just didn't get any southpaw sparring in, or if he was at such a significant speed deficit. And that was the other thing I was going to try and jump in when Dave was mentioning about him lunging and reaching in the back foot, coming up with Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin realized very, very early in that fight that he had such a superior speed advantage that he could get away with almost anything in there against the kid, Michel Rivera. That doesn't mean he should be doing it. All right. And like Dave said, that, you still shouldn't be doing it, but he was at a very, very significant, he had a very, very significant speed advantage. Michel Rivera's feet are like he reminds me of? He reminds me a lot of Richard Comey, kind of in terms of his athleticism.
Yeah, Comey has super heavy feet. Yeah, he's got legs.
Very heavy feet. When I say athleticism, I mean like lack of athleticism. It's just kind of it's a solid, sturdy, got good technical ability, but not very dynamic, not very explosive. And he couldn't win the foot battle. He couldn't. Frank Martin is a superior athlete, and he had the quicker, faster, more educated feet. He was always on his outside. And the other thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Dave, when the southpaw fighter has his foot on the outside of the orthodox fighter, it's very, very, very tough to reestablish that position, especially when the guy continues to just come forward in a straight line. He's not feinting. And the other thing that Frank Martin was doing, Frank Martin was turning. He was turning Michel Rivera a lot. And I thought all those things combined really, really prevented Frank Martin from establishing that lead foot position. And then the speed deficit ultimately discouraged him from trying to win that foot battle.
That was my take. Speed and the power too. He sat him on his butt. I think was it the third round? I'll have to go back and check. But power it can be a function of speed.
Well, he did. The interesting thing about that knockdown, and I only saw the fight once. It looked like as Frank Martin was turning, he was able to dislodge that lead foot of Michel Rivera, and then he landed a straight left hand while Michel Rivera was almost on one foot.
Now he was definitely on one foot. I went back and watched it, but it was because he was turning him, and like the footwork battle was so But
that was the one time Michel Rivera, I think, had his foot on the outside of Frank Martin. And Frank Martin, as he pivots, he dislodged that lead foot of Michel Rivera, causing him to lose balance. I think that's what happened. But look, bottom line is this. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that Michel Rivera was going to win that fight. I think Frank Martin was just a superior fighter. He had too many advantages before the fight even started. Michel Rivera and his team didn't make any adjustments. If it were me and I were preparing Michel Rivera for that fight, I would try to bang it out with this kid, Frank Martin, and try and make the fight ugly and try to win the fight in the pocket. Not that would have made much of a difference.
You took the words out of my. If I was his coach, and we would have been prepared for it. I was like, you're gonna, first of all, you have to establish your I mean, even if it's exaggerated, just make sure that you get your outside, your left foot, your lead foot outside of his outside of that the boxer's right, you know what I'm saying, right lead foot. But I would have made it physical. I would have been grabbing him. I would have been turning him. Yeah. I would have had the referee to make them intervene, but it would not been this pre boxing match. But let's turn to the casual one. So as the representative of the casual fans, did you like what you saw from this boxing match from this weekend?
Yeah, I totally did. And it showed you he demonstrated he is part of the Derrick James camp. He came out looking like almost like a baby Spence, almost with his style and everything. So he's looking good. And then,
you think so?
Yeah, yeah.
Spence is a little more lead-footed. I
was gonna say, man. Go ahead.
Style. I mean, he's fast. Frank Martin's fast, but I'm like the style. Yeah, I think that, and then being defensive, like high, almost like a high guard, defensive minded. Yeah, I think that's the Derrick James, Earl Spence type camp. You know what I'm saying? But what I enjoyed was the Bud camp was hating on this fight like the whole week. Like Bomac was like, man, Rivera got this. Rivera gonna win. And then even Keyshawn Davis did a whole video almost talking about how Rivera was a smarter fighter and he's gonna win this pretty easily.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the smarter fighter of the two. And he was
I know, but I'm
I just thought that was amusing how the camps are like subliminally throwing shots at each other, even with the other fighters. But I think this was Frank Martin's coming out party. We've been talking about him for like the last 10 minutes or so on this portion. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I think he looked good and he dominated. So
with that said, let's stay with you, the casual one. So, all right, in the within the pantheon of the 135-pound weight division, whatnot, what do you see him situating himself at this time?
I see a fight. He can go like Isaac Cruz.
Good luck finding Isaac Cruz.
Yeah.
Raleigh. He called out Raleigh Ramirez.
Now you talking.
That's a fight.
That's not. Raleigh, if you watch him, he interviewed after the fight. He said, "I'm no longer a lightweight fighter."
He's moving up, huh?
Yeah, he said, "I'm no longer a lightweight fighter." So that's
okay.
I think Isak then. Stevenson said he'll fight him. I don't know if Frank Martin's ready to jump into that just yet, but I think that'll be a great fight too if he chooses to. But I think Isak probably be the one that he should be going after.
What do y'all think about a fight with the kid Floyd Schofield? Not that fight, that's a tough fight to make because of boxing politics, but have y'all seen Floyd Schofield?
I haven't seen him fight, man. But I when I was looking at the ratings, though, I mean, I think this Schofield kid is ranked higher than even Cambosa, man. I thought in one of these divisions, man, might be 11. But I think I don't know, man. I like what Randy said about Cruz, and I haven't checked out his. I don't think the guy fought that cat Chris Colbert yet. I mean, if I was him, I would try to stay within the top 10. You know what I'm saying, of any of those divisions. But I don't know if I would go straight for those top 3 yet. I don't know if I would shoot for a Haney or Stevenson. I mean, if you get it, yeah, you get it. But hey, I'd be trying to shoot from anybody, maybe from daggone 4 down to 12. I would try to stay in the rankings of the 15. That would just be it. And I would try to get as close to those 3 as I could. I think he has that talent. Even though
yeah, and I would agree with Coach. I mean, Schofield has a an impressive box rec, and he seems to be a powerful fighter. But he's a youngster. He's only 20 years old, and so I think with Martin, he's 28, 27, turning 28 years old, and I think at this point he's ready to kind of make his mark. At this time, so I think that's not fighting up and comers.
Coach nailed it. Coach named the name that I think it'd be a definitely decent fight with Chris Colbert. I think with that fight, like that I think that ends pretty much Colbert's career. but
career,
he good enough name as of right now. He still has a name. Once Frank Martin gets him and beats him,
yep.
Chris Colbert's career is done, but he has enough fanfare that everybody knows his name right now.
Why do you say his career is done?
That's a little drastic, but
yeah, come on, man. Why? Because the kid got 2 losses,
2 back-to-back losses. He ain't even a prospect. He won't be even considered a prospect.
Man, I remember when my man James Toney went back-to-back losses. He might have even dropped 3 in a row at one point in his career, man.
But I mean,
we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that to fighters, man.
We should.
2 tough back-to-back fights, and he comes off 2 losses. I mean, we still got Austin Trout running around out here in these streets.
But you know what I'm saying? Frank Martins ain't even in the top 10. So you get back-to-back and you somebody that's not in the top 10.
Wait.
He's not in the top 10?
Frank Martin he's number 10 in the WBA.
Yeah, he's 10 in the WBA. The number 10 in WBA. That's it. So I mean,
and what's it called? Colbert is just moving up from 130 too. I'm not even sure why he's at 135 now, but whatever. If I were Colbert, I'd have stayed at 130 and fought Gary Russell. But anyway.
Well, this is a question.
Or Lamont Roach, you got O'Shaquie Foster down there. Like, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, with that said, and then we'll kind of end on this topic. I mean, with this question, but this was something that was posed by the casual one. It said, right now, if you had Keyshawn Davis or Frank Martin in a fight, who would you take?
Keyshawn Davis, because he's gonna weigh 150 pounds on fight night.
Coach, what'd you say?
All right, Keyshawn Davis all day, man.
What is it? What's up, Dave? Tell us. You holding back here? Why are you?
I said Davis also. I'm checking mine there, but
what is it? What is it you see with Frank Martin that the Errol Spence fans, aka the Frank Martin fans, I
see a lot of potential in this kid, man. I do, but it's just hard for me to not weigh potential with, what I think the corner is going to do. You know what I'm saying? So the kid just I'm telling you, he got some major flaws. And like Cam said, man, and I really didn't focus or listen at the boxing corner a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because I was focused on this kid, man. But hearing Cam say the corner kept saying, don't do this, don't da.
Yeah, start reading with your punches. Yeah.
That gives me hope that if this cat is listening, man, this dude is gonna be phenomenal, man, if he listens, dude. But for your corner to say that so much and you still come out doing it, it just means that it's ingrained in his fight. It's in his fight DNA. It's almost like, I hear you saying do it, but I can't not do it.
Okay.
So I just don't know, man. And that's the thing that I'm waiting to see. And that's why I'm very, very hesitant, because I think he's a great fighter. I think he's good, but I'm looking at those flaws that's going to get him in some serious trouble, and I'm looking at, can he listen? Because now the next time I go and watch it, I'm listening for what Cam was listening to. I'm listening at what that corner was saying. And if corner's saying, stop doing X and you still going out there doing it, that's a problem. That's an ingrained problem.
So let me last question from me. What about a Jermaine Ortiz fight? Would you pick him to beat Jermaine Ortiz?
Yeah. I think so.
You think he beats Jermaine Ortiz?
Yeah, man. The dude is sharp, man. So and I just hope y'all. That's why I know I'm walking that line. And the dude, I would pick him. And, yes, he would beat Jermaine Ortiz.
All right. Good. That's a good way to transition from that. So with that said, we have an kind of a quasi announcement of the next Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. So we know that he is looking to book the Cinco de Mayo weekend, which would pin his fight on Saturday, May the 4th. And from what I am reading is that it's most likely going to be John Ryder in England. All right. So this is a statement from Canelo Alvarez. This is just from yesterday. It said it would be interesting to fight with him and parenthetically John Ryder in London, isn't it? Because he is from there. It would be a very big fight. Canelo said in a press conference, a press conference where he was presented with a statue. He says, but the truth is that I haven't talked about that and have not negotiated an opponent yet. I'm focused on the rehabilitation of my hand and see how I feel in January and see what the doctor tells me. But it is looking increasingly.
So he's not lying. Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was going to say it's looking increasingly like that's going to be the fight. And I do want to, and I'm not saying so sorry, but I think you called this fight almost a year ago, and it is coming to fruition. But go ahead. So do you think that's the inevitability is Canelo Alvarez, Cinco de Mayo, London?
Yeah. I mean, I again, it's not like that was. I was told that they were angling for this fight a while back, and it's he's not lying. The fight has not been negotiated, but he is lying about him not having talked about it. They've been talking about this fight. I know for a fact that they've been talking about this fight for a long time now, bringing him to the UK and all that shit. So yeah, that's he's being a bit coy. I don't want to say he's lying. He's definitely. The fight has not been negotiated yet, technically, but that is a fight that the people at Matchroom and DAZN have been floating to not Nacho Beristain. What's his trainer's name? Eddie Reynoso. Yeah. They've been talking about that shit for months. So yeah, that's the fight.
Now, do we care about this fight?
You said what?
Do we care about this fight?
No, we don't. Hey,
yeah. Look, I'm trying to put my. Go ahead. What you gonna say, Dave?
Look, I'm probably about to sound like Jared, man. You know how Jared used to be on Saul all the time. Look, I'm going on record right now to say that I have no commentary on Alvarez. If you ain't fighting Benavidez, the Charlo boy, Andrade, or somebody, then blank you. That's wrong. So anytime we have pop talk, and when you get to me and it's talking about Alvarez, if he ain't fighting like one of those three, just skip me on by, bro. I'm gonna sit back, eat some popcorn, man. Bump him. He know who he need to be fighting. He know who he needs to be fighting, man. That's my take.
They ain't gonna fight it. But let me tell you this, and I have been on record on this show as saying this for a while now. Aside from the Ryder, which I had inside info on, I don't have any info on the Berlanga fight. And I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to keep saying it every time it comes up on this show, he is angling for a fight in Top Rank, are angling for a fight with Edgar Berlanga. Is going to be his next fight.
That would be such a mark against his legacy. But Berlanga is he's a ranked amateur at this point.
Yeah.
Don't matter. Don't matter. It's Mexico versus Puerto Rico in Madison Square Garden. If it makes dollars, it makes sense, is what the manager is saying to business, right, Dave? If it makes dollars, it makes sense.
No, you're 100% right, bro. I got no argument, bro. You're 100%.
And if he gonna take his little ass
into fruition, like why you the only one I've heard talk about this fight? I don't like with the Ryder. I could see a little bit of justification, for it with his gift decision against Jacobs and his latest win, which was unimpressive. But Belanga, I mean. So the one. So is this a fight that you would want to see at any point for
who? Berlanga?
No, for Alvarez. This is somebody who's trying to establish a legacy as the greatest Mexican fighter ever.
I think he's done with legacy fights at this point. It's all about the money. But Boston,
those two are not mutually exclusive also.
So after Mayweather gave up Cinco de Mayo to Canelo, Canelo's reign been at least 4 or 5 years now with Cinco de Mayo?
Maybe even a little bit longer.
So if he takes a UK fight for Cinco de Mayo, do you think it's going to be that impressive? A daytime fight in the US? I think another big name fighter goes up under him, and we have a Cinco de Mayo fight here in the U.S.
That brings up an interesting point, because I believe that PBC and Golden Boy were angling for Tank Ryan on Cinco de Mayo, and remember, Ryan Garcia is contractually obligated to Golden Boy, which has a deal. Although that deal, from what I was told, is kind of Oscar and Eddie and DAZN have not been on the same page for a little while now, which is why you see Oscar trying to get a little froggy doing certain things out there. I wonder what happens if they really try to push, because if you're Oscar, you want to stick it to Canelo. You push for that Ryan Tank fight on Cinco de Mayo.
But that ain't taking it to Canelo, because the Canelo fight will be at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Will probably be about 4 p.m. But in another way, it kind of works. But if that's going to be more than likely. Now, if that fight is a pay-per-view fight, now you pushing the envelope. But if it's just a regular streamed fight on DAZN, then you can do that shit. You make it available to all your DAZN.
Canelo's fight.
Canelo's fight is a non-DAZN pay-per-view. They just do it on a regular stream, and then people can watch that as regular DAZN subscribers, and then you pay for Tank and Ryan later on that night. That's a big weekend for boxing. I mean,
yeah, but are we kind of feeding into? Because I've always thought from the beginning that they were shooting for April the 15th.
Right.
Well, at first they were saying April, May, and then it came to April. But shit, if it's April, they can shoot for May. Yeah, I mean,
why not push it? Why not push it to a few weeks to the right? Now we still gotta see what happens with Tank's court date, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, speaking of being messy, we don't.
Yeah,
we have a lot of facts about that, but
so
I don't see that happening.
So, and then back to Canelo, and we already said that it's supposed to be Ryder, Bivol. And then Boston, you question if it's going to be Bivol.
No, I did. I questioned that.
Oh, Cam. All right, Cam, you question.
No, I know. I'm gonna tell you right now what I've been told. They're not making that fight.
It's Cap. It's just he's just putting that name out there.
So, they're not making that fight.
I think at this point, Boston might be right that Berlanga might be right for September, because I don't think he steps up against.
Why? This is somebody. So at 168, when he has mandatories, because we know that Caleb Plant is fighting David Benavidez.
He throw them belts in the garbage, Cam. I don't even know why you bring up mandatories.
Legacy, his legacy. He just
you don't think after the it wasn't a catastrophe, but the non-event that was the fight against Triple G. He's going to fight John Ryder, so he's going to fight in England. So this thing about the American audience that we're going to have tepid, lukewarm kind of response to that, and then he's going to come back and fight somebody who is essentially a novice.
But my thing is, what's your alternative? If Canelo keep feeding you shit, what's your alternative? Are you who is it? Like, nah, I'll stop watching him. I'll start watching.
Start watching them. They did it with
no
Mayweather.
alternative.
They did it with Mayweather at the end of his career. When he fought
to a degree, yeah, I see what you're saying, man. But that's look, like it or not, and there's nobody that's been more critical of Canelo than me. But when it comes to dollars and cents, Mexico versus Puerto Rico in Madison Square Garden on Mexican Independence Day, that's an event. That's an event. Fat Joe gonna be. I mean, it's Terror Squad gonna be in the building. All that. It's gonna be an event. I'm telling you right now.
That is a farce of a fight.
Hey, let me jump here. Just this, and this will be my last question on this, Duncan. Man. I'm like Jared now, man. But I think I don't know who it was, but what I would like to know is, I'm trying to figure out, like, when you say, I'm always talking about, look, you find legacy or loot, blah 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 blah. Even though this cat got a lot of fights, what I'm saying, 50 something fights or whatever, man. Legacy wise, to be honest with you, you lose to an older Floyd, right? When he fought Floyd, he like I'm trying to be like, what's this cat's
he was
legacy?
only 23 at the time.
Okay, but my point of it is, who in this guy's list of fighters that where we can sit here and say, okay, wow, super duper great legacy. Looking at all his wins, who can we really look at and say super duper great legacy?
None. It's just the accolades.
It's right. So that's the point.
It's the accolades.
That's the point I'm making. I mean, you got Triple G. Maybe if you want to say that,
I mean that's his career defining. That's his trilogy. I mean that is kind of the crown jewel of his legacy right now is a Triple G who really is.
It's I mean, and if you're thinking Mayweather, Cotto, Mosley, technically, I don't care how old he was, these jokers was old. If anything, you 23, you should have been the one to stop the flow.
Right.
Anyway, that's all I'm saying. So if it ain't, let me go back to it.
It's cool, but just for the sake of all our listeners, right, and people who are out there, just for the 100% transparency, right? Canelo is coming off of an injury, right? He did have the wrist surgery, right? He's technically coming off of an injury. I mean, Dave, if this is your fighter, would you want to send him in there against the top guys in the division coming off of an injury like that? Would that be reasonable, or is that something where you have to work it?
No, you're right. And I mean, I'm not hating. I think you're right. I mean, you're 100% right. I get it. I'm just saying, man, I
get it. Hey, I'm glad to hear you.
I think when we look at it,
my way now.
What they'll do is, like, they like to see, like, how many world champions have you defeated, which I think Canelo Alvarez will have a long list, probably at least a dozen or so fighters. How many?
Yeah, but who are those guys though? These guys with belts like Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant.
Who's beat Billy Joe Saunders?
I mean, I thought Willie Monroe, who we had on the show, I thought Willie Monroe beat him.
It was a close
I thought
fight.
David Akavov might have beat him.
He smashed Caleb Plant, which now we're giving him accolades now, right? He stopped that dude. He knocked out.
But Caleb Plant had a prospect level resume. I mean, guys like Shakur, he had like a Jaron Ennis kind of a resume at the time of that fight. This kid, Caleb Plant, had like 17 fights or something like that, and his best win was a Jose Uzcategui, who is a shell of himself after he got popped. Right, this guy, he lost this past weekend, and nobody even knew about it. I mean, so again, yeah, if we look at it superficially and say, oh, he beat this many X amount of champions, blah, blah, blah. But what was the real value or worth of those champions? How would we evaluate those guys? Right. Billy Joe Saunders, solid guy. I think a solid B-level guy. Callum Smith, I guess B-C level guy. I mean, you know, the A-level guys who he's got on his resume, the guys he's lost to. I mean, it was Floyd. And I wouldn't even consider Triple G an A-level guy. I think Triple G is also kind of a B-level guy, especially at 35 when he fought him.
Well,
right?
he actually has not. He actually hasn't officially
right?
lost to Triple G, but
I thought shit, and I thought he lost both of them. The first two, I thought he lost two of them fights. The first two, he's got Cotto also, but an older Cotto, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but all right, if we say that, right, let's like if we want to be just revisionist history. What if we go and break down Floyd's Mayweather kind of like resume? So when he was,
we can
actually. Yeah, when he
got much better wins.
Give me them.
I mean, shit. That version of Zab Judah he fought.
Zab Judah.
I'm gonna start random.
Who had got beat before the fight before, right? By Carlos Baldomir. By Carlos Baldomir.
We can go to Gennaro Hernandez and start with the Gennaro Hernandez.
I mean that's a good win, but he had also lost to Oscar De La Hoya, who
he did. He lost a Hall of Fame guy in Oscar. That was his only loss was to Oscar. He also went into that De La Hoya fight with a broken nose, courtesy of Shane Mosley, apparently. But Gennaro Hernandez, you've got the Jose Luis Castillo fight that he arguably lost the first fight and came back and beat him the second fight. You've got Diego Corrales.
How many losses?
Come on, Corrales.
You got.
I mean, the Corrales was a good fight. Yeah, the Corrales was a good fight, but
Marquez.
You would say that
Floyd got a lot of dudes.
Juan Manuel Marquez, who moved up from lightweight and fought Floyd at welterweight, and Floyd came in. And Floyd
Cotto had moved up. Shane Mosley had moved up. Pick a guy. I mean, Canelo has several guys.
No, but I'm saying, if Canelo did that, then we would say that that's kind of a part of his like legacy or stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying. It's easy to kind of go back and have this revisionist history. Like I love Floyd. I think he's definitely one of the greatest. You know, if not that, but if somebody was being critical, they could go back and be like, well, you know, Hernandez had lost to this. You could say with Corrales had really outgrown he was undefeated, had really outgrown the weight division.
See, you reaching is what you're doing. That Corrales win was arguably one of the best win in his fucking resume.
No, I mean that was probably one of the best pure boxing
he was stomping
examples
people.
that I had seen.
Murdering people.
Yeah.
Who was that? Who was that kid from Tallahassee who was Floyd Mayweather's who was Roy Jones' little sidekick who he beat up?
Yeah.
Derek Smoke Gaynor.
Gaynor, yeah.
Because that was
but not only that, but like even with like Angel
he beat up Robert Garcia. He was steamrolling through that division. And to be clear, Floyd was the favorite in that fight, right? But he went out and he smoked that guy. He smoked Corrales. I mean, look, we getting kind of off topic now, but
all right. So let's go ahead and change gears a little bit, and let's talk about somebody else who a lot of people think has a kind of a suspect resume, and that is Inoue. And apparently, the WBO has mandated. Or has basically Inoue has been elevated to the WBO super champion, and it says he could challenge Stefan Fulton next. It says the WBO has announced that they have made Inoue their bantamweight super champion. Here's the significance of that decision. When Inoue officially moves up and begins fighting at super bantamweight, he can petition the sanctioning body to become the mandatory contender at 122. So it's on him at that point, but there seems to be mutual interest. Fulton has been out of action since an impressive unanimous decision over Daniel Roman in June of 22. When asked about the fight with Inoue, Fulton said that he has no problem facing him. However, he wants the fight to happen sooner rather than later because he has eyes on eventually moving up to featherweight. Inoue has expressed his interest in fighting Fulton and said it would be an excellent test out there. So, do we see this fight happening for Inoue? And then will this finally quiet the critics who says that he doesn't fight black fighters? Go ahead, Coach. Well, let's, because Coach didn't get opportunity to weigh in last time on this.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
Hey, but look, okay, I get it. Right, you go to the guy's box Rex, and I get it in terms of the fighting black fighters and all this stuff. But let me caveat everything I'm about to say with this: black fighters and no black fighters, that boy can fight. That boy, all right. Black fighters and no black fighters. Let me be crystal clear. That boy can fight. You know what I'm saying? And if this fight happens, and I'll let Boston get into the mechanics of who owns who and all that stuff, man. But I would like to say this would be one hell of a fight if he does fight Fulton, man. And if it happens to get made, then I give my prediction. But I my biggest thing on him not fighting black fighters is, to me, I hope that it can happen. But my thing in all that is just what I said. Let me be crystal clear. This boy can fight. And he got some fighters. You go through his box rec, he got some fighters on his box rec, man. He, in terms of what Jared says, also strength of opposition. It's a couple of them on there that's like, yeah.
Let me ask Dave a quick question. Just go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
No, and I'm just saying that he walked through them,
Now, just for the edification of our audience, and for those people who don't know, Coach Dave doesn't just call himself that. Dave was actually a professional boxing trainer. And you happen to manage a guy in Dwayne Beeman who fought at those lower weight classes. Mm-hmm. And obviously you don't know all the fighters in that division, but how many black fighters do you actually come across in those lower weight divisions? Because it seems like those weight divisions are dominated primarily by Central, South Americans, and East Asians. Was that your experience managing Dwayne Beeman, or?
Yeah, no. You really hit it on the head, man. At least a lot of them that rise up. Even the one black fighter that was kind of, really dominating it. The blacks that like Rashid Wan held it, man, and just, Rashid Wan was just a freak of nature, man, And then you also had the guy that was one of the IBO world champions that was over in South Africa, Buthelezi. Buthelezi. So really back when we was fighting and when I had the fighter you mentioned, Rashid Wan was the dominant black fighter up in that thing, and then across the waters in terms of black fighters was the Buthelezi guy, So, and I think at one time, man, I thought Rigondeaux was at super bantamweight. I thought he was.
Yes, Rigo was down.
Because we was trying to get him as well, man. So those like are the primary three, Then the rest of them, man. I mean, you're right, man. It's Yaffe, the Arab guy. Of course, you had Payano.
Oh, Galal Lafai and the other guy Payano. Yeah. So you're right, man. You hit it dead on the head, But that's why I love that. Like, but Stefan, hey man, Fulton, bro, yes sir, I like him, bro.
You do, but you don't think that his lack of concussive power would be right? So he has 8 knockouts, in his 21 fights, and in a way, I think is because of his knockout prowess is an underrated boxer. He has some defensive flaws, I think, sometimes, but I just think that Fulton he's gonna have to get his respect at some point. Right. I think that was what Donaire had success from it, because Donaire, even in his later age, that guy could still crack with both hands.
Well, I'll say this, man. Okay, I give you that. My argument about Fulton though is that I think this kid has no problem coming to fight, Cam.
Mm-hmm.
Like ain't no bitch in that joker's blood. You get what I'm saying? Ain't nothing in that boy's blood. And
Philly boy too. Yeah.
And I'll say the about the power stuff, you know, you can flip it over to the female boxers, and you can take a look at Clarissa Shields, man. You know, that knockout power or whatever ain't there, but what you know about Shields is she coming to fight, man. And that's what I'm saying, that I think in this kid Fulton. So that's why I'm saying it's gonna be a good fight, dude. Unless he just get a blue ice cold scared heart out the back, you know. Other than that, if he comes to fight, bruh, 50-50 chance. This fight's gonna be.
We haven't heard from the casual one on there. So if Inoue does go ahead and petition to become the mandatory, do you like this fight for Inoue, or do you see Fulton?
We mentioned it last week. This would be the test that if he was to get past Fulton, he deserved to be shit. By that time, he deserved to be number one pound for pound. Because it's got to be his fourth division.
Yeah, and he'd be unified. He'd be unified. Two division unified, undisputed.
Yeah. So I mean, like the last segment, y'all was going through Canelo's resume, and then but here you got we argued this last week where we had between Usyk, Bud, and Inoue for the pound for pound. Hey, if Inoue beat Fulton, Usyk or Bud can't compete unless Bud unified at 154.
Hey man, I'm telling y'all, this dude, look, and I'm just going through his box right now. And Antonio Nieves, you know, yes. Juan Carlos Payano, yes. Rodriguez, yes. Even Daenerys, you know, pick and choose, you know. But these are some cats that this dude is bumped off, man. You know, so
Manny Rodriguez, who one of the Russell brothers went life and death with twice. He went in there and knocked Manny Rodriguez out in like 2 minutes.
Cold. Hey, I'm telling you, man, the dude, you know, and of course, you know, and I'm excited about it because, you know, I love them little fighters, but I love them little light jokers, man. But yeah, the boy can fight, man. So
no, he can fight, man. Like he has boxing skill. He has good footwork. He has quick, fast hand. He throws combinations. He's not this kind of just looking for a single shot. He can be hit. You know, I think if we want to be hypercritical on that,
so could Pacquiao. So could Terry Norris. Norris got hit a lot.
Yeah.
And, right. So Gerald McClellan got hit a lot. Gerald McClellan got hit too much. Right. But serious, go ahead. Those are serious jokers. Look.
Go ahead, Boston.
Dave broke down, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and take it there. But look, this fight happening or not happening is all going to depend on the politics and the business behind the sport. Fulton, who is, I believe, a PBC fighter, Inoue, who is co-managed by, I believe, Ryzen and Top Rank and some kind of weird. Inoue is going to be the super A side in this fight, right? This is a fight that would take place in Japan, more likely than not. This is a fight that Al Heyman is not going to have any control over whatsoever. And it's an extremely, extremely lucrative fight, especially if a fight takes place in Japan and ESPN gets co-broadcast rights to it. That's a a lucrative fight for people involved. And I am very, very curious to see if Al Haymon is willing to let Stephen Fulton go ahead and do this fight. I mean, I believe the Ali Act prohibits Al Haymon from stopping Stephen Fulton for pursuing a career high payday. That doesn't mean that Al Haymon can't talk to Stephen Fulton and be like, hey, look, I can't stop you, but if you go ahead and do this, just know you're going to be sitting next to Gary Russell and them other dudes who haven't fought in 18 months. If you go over there.
Spence from getting a career high payday, right?
No, it did. I mean, it did.
25 million. He made more than 25.
When
When did he make more than 25 million?
That's not true. Y'all cannot prove that. Y'all keep saying it. Who was putting up the 25 million? Let's just talk on the phone. Yeah,
it's hedge funds, but he went directly to he didn't.
All right, let's not go there.
He didn't go on Instagram and say like, "Hey, I got 25 million."
But y'all you called him up, get a private conversation. Hold on, and I'm gonna give you this one. What was that? Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Who was that American he beat for the belt?
Charles Martin.
Frank Martin, right?
Charles Martin.
Charles Martin was a PBC fighter. Charles Martin and Al said, look, they offering you a lot of money to go to the UK and fight. He let him go. So I don't understand when people just come out the blue and be like, Al Haymon ain't gonna do this. Y'all never heard of
it.
I don't think.
There's Frank Martin, and then there's like Errol Smith.
Yeah, Frank Martin
was the champion. Frank Martin was the heavyweight champion. You can downplay him and say he suck or what, but he had the belt.
I didn't say that.
It's a valid point. It is a valid point. It is a valid point that Randy makes. That is a valid point. Really? I would argue, however, that Stephen Fulton has a little bit more utility for Al Haymon and PBC at his weight class and at featherweight and whatever weight.
I disagree. Tell me where who made money at that weight class? Who was the money makers at that weight class? You act like that. It's like going. If I let him go, I'm gonna miss out on a $50 million pay-per-view. That weight class ain't generating that kind of money. And then you can't prove to me where Al Haymon has stopped somebody from a good business wise just hating on somebody that
of course not, because Al Haymon doesn't come out and make any statements, right? We can't prove anything that Al Haymon even exists, right? I haven't seen the motherfucker. He's like Bigfoot. But regardless, you have a point. That's a good point. You're making a good point.
To go back to Cameron's point, though, it wasn't Al Haymon. Al Haymon offered
It was Al Haymon.
It was not because Spence is the one who was like, why would I go somewhere else? And Spence
when they interviewed Spence, he said like, do you think Spence
can we pivot off of this?
Making these decisions or whatnot, or is he running to Al Haymon and say, yo, this is what I should do? And he even said when he left the Frank Martin fight, when he left the Frank Martin fight, like, I'm gonna stick with Al Haymon from thick through thin, whatever he was saying, whatever. So basically, he said whatever he say, I'm gonna do.
So whose choice is that? That's his choice, right? That's the fighter's choice.
I know, but what I'm saying is that he goes to his advisor and say, hey, so why did Terrence Crawford go and call Al Haymon personally?
Guys,
because he didn't have nobody to call. I mean, there was nobody.
Because he knows.
Get back. The Charles Martin argument is a good argument. That's a solid point. That is a solid point. Now, I will counter that by saying this: if Stephen Fulton moves up to featherweight at 126, you've got Gary Russell up there. You've got Ray. You've got you've got Ray Vargas up there. You've got Leo Santa Cruz up there. You've got one of the Figueroa brothers up there. There are some interesting fights that can be made up there. And if Fulton goes over there, and I don't think this is going to happen. I would favor Fulton in that fight. He goes over there and loses, his stock drops. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see what happens. And then Randy made a solid point with the Charles Martin argument. That
really,
I believe though. I believe
anybody know that Charles Martin was a champion at the time when he fought him?
He was. It doesn't matter to Cam. He was a champion. I mean, it's almost not identical scenario, but it's similar enough.
Al Heyman has been around boxing long enough. He knows when I have a valuable asset, a commodity right here. Charles Martin got dropped by the most lackluster of straight right hand that I've ever seen, to the point where Joshua was just like, I don't even know what I did to drop him. Well, now this is the same guy that got slept by Ortiz.
So you saying PBC was throwing Andy Ruiz to the wolves when he went over there and fought?
That's another solid example. You're right.
I mean, when you are looking at he was going for his highest payday or whatnot, and they were looking at a fighter who has trouble staying in shape that was doing this. I could see that as a cash out, and then they got lucky.
I don't know. I think Randy's giving me hope that this fight might actually happen because they're going to throw a ton. I mean, Inoue is a star over there, from what I understand. Inoue is a big deal over there.
And then everybody, coach ain't claim it, but I think if we go around the room and say who we got as the winner, everybody here is going to stay full.
Who you got, Dave?
I didn't say that.
Really, Cam? You would favor of?
I just told you the guy has 8 knockouts. Like, you got to be able to stop this. And he's not just a puncher; he is a boxer puncher. Like,
so who you got, Cam?
I mean, I'm like Coach. Once the fight is announced, I'll give you my decision.
Come on, man.
I hear tap dance. Hey, man.
Yeah. Like Coach, I want to say, like, I'll go and look at some of their fights and all that. But
get better or worse in between the time to fight. They're gonna be the same dudes.
To me, I've got Inoue top 3 pound for pound. So that shows you what I mean. And like, do y'all have Stephen Fulton in y'all pound for pound top 20?
I don't, but again, Inoue would be on his 4th weight class, man. And Fulton, I believe, is a couple inches taller, got longer arms.
He gonna come in bigger.
Yeah. Now, if Inoue's power carries up, because and this is another thing I didn't want to bring up on the last show, but I will bring it up and for the sake of consistency, because I bring this up with other fighters. Inoue's physique has changed dramatically over the last 3 fights. It has. Don't take my word for it. Go back and look at the first Donaire fight where he got bullied a little bit in that fight, and I believe went the distance for the first. That was a 12-round fight, right? Went the distance for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. He got hurt. It was a 12-round fight. It was absolutely.
His physique changed noticeably after that fight. He fights over in Japan almost exclusively. All I'm saying is that if I'm Stephen Fulton, if I'm his team, I'm bringing that up. I don't know that Inoue is even involved with VADA or any of those programs.
I thought it's the sanctioning bodies that got.
If you are a WBC champion, you have to be a part of VADA. Like that's
okay. All right. As long as y'all believe in it.
If you WBC, you have to be. It's not even a lot of people, because this came up during the
UK
Chris Eubank, and the Ben, not Nigel Ben, but Connor Ben, because they were saying, oh, he volunteered to be part of this voluntary. He was like, no, if you want to be considered, for the WBC, you have to enter into that. So another
guy who, if you look at his before and after photos, pull up some of them photos from Nigel Benn. Jesus Christ, Nigel Benn, Conor Benn, and look at how his physique changed over a relatively short period of time. I'm saying this
But
for the sake of consistency.
He fought in Vegas in June of 2021. He fought again in Vegas in October of 2020. And
you
then
talking about Inoue? You talking about
Inoue?
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead. Let's go on to our last topic, which is, this has been kind of the theme of boxing for 2022. So as much as I love the sport, and we've had some highlights, I think we can agree this has been a bit of a kind of a disappointing year. Besides, like if we hold women or female boxing a little bit different, like they have really done their thing. But as far as when it comes to fights that we were promised, or that there was some type of intimation that these fights would happen, it's been a little bit of disappointing. I'm saying that to say is that we spend a lot of time on this show talking about the fights that are not made and why they are not made. And then I'm always getting told that you don't understand the business, you don't understand the business politics. But as a fighter, and as not a fighter, but as a fan and as a pundit, I'm still going to feel a certain way. So with that said, we are at the point where there was an offer, there was a purse bid for the Regis Prograis Ramirez fight. And
no, wait a minute. Are you sure there was a purse bid?
Well, there was a. Let me get the facts together. So basically, there was a purse split.
That the WBC has, this is their standard purse split for challengers and champions. Yeah. Okay, there was, just to be clear for our listeners, there was no purse bid.
It was not a purse bid because that was one of the issues that it was one of the issues that Ramirez has, because he wasn't sure of what exactly that percentage would equate to. But essentially, he turned down the opportunity to fight Prograis, who was mandated to fight Jose Ramirez, but it was going to be on a 65-35 split. And not only that, but I'm hearing that Teofimo Lopez, who would be the next person that they would go in the pecking order. So if Jose Ramirez was the mandatory to challenge Prograis, who wanted to fight, who's always wanted to fight. He's wanted this fight for the last 5 years. The next person would be Teofimo Lopez, who also declined to take the fight. So, Boston, we'll stay with you. So, what do you think is going to come from this? Do you think that, because it's not? I watched the interview this evening with Ramirez, and he didn't seem against the fight.
He's against the fight.
Go ahead.
He's been ducking Regis for years. And if I'm Regis Prograis and his team, I say fuck Jose Ramirez, and I try to move on at least in the short term, right? That's all there is to it. When it comes to Jose Ramirez and Regis Prograis, If Jose Ramirez was in a restaurant with his wife and kids and Regis Prograis walked in, he would get up and leave. And he probably wouldn't leave. He probably wouldn't even leave a check or a tip or anything. That's just what it is when it comes to this guy. He just don't want any parts of him. And his managers and whoever this guy Marisian, they can tweet and twat and instant tweetagram all the fuck they want so their fingers fall off and talk about purse splits and all that shit. They don't want to fight Regis Prograis. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And we can also talk about
dress it up all you want. They don't want to fight the dude. That's all it comes down to.
I mean, his career, it's going to be sad because this isn't his fault. But Prograis, for the next probably year or two, is going to look like Andrade. I mean, look if you go down the WBC list. Ramirez, Lopez done. Sando Martin just came off a loss. So you think Gary Russell going to step up for him? Because we all the way down to 6 now.
Well, interesting you should say that, Randy, because I frequent a barbershop here in the DC area, and we got a lot of interesting characters that come into that barbershop. And I have been told by sources close to the Russells that Gary Antoine is going to pursue a belt in the WBC. And he is dead set on that. Now, Dave, I don't want to call you out. I know that you have your ties and your connections with those. Can you confirm or deny that, or no comment on that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. And I hadn't talked with those guys in a long time, brother. So I don't know. And if I did, I definitely would give you the skinny on it, man. But yeah, it's been a while since I actually even visited and been up in there.
Yeah, but like Randy said, it's unfortunate. There's an article, I believe, out there by Jake Donovan. He breaks it down. Every other guy in the division is tied up, with the exception of Jose Ramirez, who I believe is going to go ahead and fight Richard Comey, apparently. And according to his manager, he's going to make $1.5 million, whatever. Sure, I believe that when I see it. But yeah, Randy's right. I mean, Barboza, I believe, is tied up. Lipinets is tied up. Pedraza is tied up with Barboza, I believe. That's the fight they're going to make, or something like that. Look, maybe Montana Love. Would y'all be there for a Montana Love fight? Montana Love, Regis Prograis on the zone.
Yeah. I would check that one out, man. I think I definitely would check that out, bro. That would be good, I think, man. Now,
the one thing I will mention for the sake of our listeners is that Regis Prograis is affiliated with Probellum. Probellum was at one point associated with Daniel Kinahan. Bob Arum has said explicitly and on no terms will we do business with a Daniel Kinahan or organizations affiliated with Daniel Kinahan. Probellum has come out and vehemently denied any association with Daniel Kinahan, even going as far as to sue promoters who have claimed that they are affiliated with Daniel Kinahan. And the reason why I bring that up is because that is what killed the negotiations on the table, right? And that was mentioned, I believe, in the Jake Donovan article or one of these boxing scene articles, that there was never any sit down to even negotiate a purse split, right? Because it's easy for one party or the other to back off and say, okay, well, I won't take 35, I'll take 50-50 or 45, whatever. There was never any negotiation because Top Rank will not even talk with Probellum.
Well, but isn't that mandated by the sanctioning body? I mean, what is it?
I believe that's a starting point, but there's nothing that I don't believe there's anything that says that the fighters can't negotiate that. I believe if we look, we can find examples where
a percentage of the purse. But I heard that one of the issues is that the promotional company I heard Progress was, I guess he's not a free agent, but his promotional company does not have a television deal. So what Ramirez was suggesting that they work with ESPN and to kind of work out some type of a pay-per-view split or something of that nature, something that would make it more to his liking to actually take this fight.
Right. Remember, Ramirez is managed by Top Rank. Top Rank has the deal with ESPN, right? And if Top Rank won't talk with Probellum, nobody's negotiating anything.
Yeah, but I mean, is that true? I don't know if that
is what true.
Is that they're not willing to talk with Prograis promotional company.
Yes, I at least that's what was reported.
Yeah, that's been out since last year that they won't mess with each other, and that's why Von Brerum threw Bud under the bus. You remember when he was leaving, he was like, he started getting managed by the can of hands, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah. And remember, that's not just Bob
everything
Aaron's
else is
preference. That's the State Department. United States, was it Treasury, has said that United States businesses are forbidden from doing business with Kinahan affiliated organizations. So this isn't just Bob Aaron being a cranky old man or an obstructionist. This is him, But again, Probellum has stated that they are not affiliated with Kinahan. So make of that what you will, listeners. Go out and do your own research. We don't want to go and litigate this shit too much, but,
but
it's a big fucking mess. And
it makes everything a kind of a moot point, right? So why is he protecting us? So why are we even talking about them negotiating the purse split if they're not even willing to negotiate anything?
Because social media people came out and they slammed Jose Ramirez. So Jose Ramirez and his team felt compelled to come out and tweet and Instagram post and give all these 99 reasons why the fight wasn't happening.
Yeah, he gave interviews.
Yeah. A bunch of them. So that's how all this came out and got litigated on social media. Jose Ramirez basically, and the funny thing was, Jose Ramirez basically gave his price, right? He basically said he want 1.5 million to go in there and get his ass kicked by Regis Prograis. Is what the magic number is. And if he's getting 1.5, Regis as the champion, I mean, you tell me, how much would you want? If you're the champion and the challenger's getting $1.5 million, how much would you want?
Well, so this is from the the horse's mouth right here. So this is Jose Ramirez. I haven't made under $1 million since 2018. I fought the best. I fought the winner of the tournament. He says, I petitioned for a 45-45 split with 10% of the gross going to the winner. So this is Prograis. His response, he was saying something to 45-55, I'll take it. And he said, if he be willing to fight Ramirez on a 55-45 split? What happened to the offer that we just had? Why didn't you take that? That's what the WBC said. They put the rule in it for it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's a rule that the WBC made. Y'all knew that going into it. Listen, I'm fighting whoever they tell me. I'm going by the rules. If you was a champion, I would do whatever the rules say. I tried to fight you in 2008. So bad. He's like, you didn't want to fight me then. So to me, it just seems like you got one person that is willing, and he's even willing to give up a percentage of his purse just to make the fight, because he just wants to. He's looking at boxing as a competitive sport, and
not as a business. And Ramirez, at this point in his life, is looking at boxing as a business. He can't move up to get killed. He can't move down because he's too big. So at this point in his life, he's already been unified. He's trying to, what does he got? 30 fights or something like that?
Yeah, he only has one loss.
What is he in his 30s?
Yeah, let me go. I was just on his box rig.
Yeah, I believe that this is cash in. This is cash in time. So if he is going to go out there and get his ass kicked, he wants to make sure he's getting the most money he can.
I mean, or you could win. So he's 30 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not old. But yeah.
He doesn't turn 31 until August of next year.
Yeah. Now
he's not old, but he's definitely limited, and I think that
extremely limited.
Everybody who's been watching Prograis lately knows what they're up against.
That's pretty much it. It's unfortunate. He'll fight. Now, what the last thing, maybe not the last thing, but one thing I will say is that the WBC, if they were serious about, again, taking this looking at this as a sport and not as a business, they should drop Jose Ramirez's ass out the rankings. Drop him, at least drop him out the top 15. Drop his ass. That's what these sanctioning bodies need to do. When your Isak Cruzes and your Jose Ramirez and all these guys get mandated to fight by these organizations, these sanctioning bodies, and they refuse, they should be dropped out the motherfucking rankings.
I mean, I would be in support of that. So the casual one, what do you see Prograis turning to if he can't make this fight?
Like, I don't know, man. Because if I was Teofimo, I'd jump out the WBC and stick to the WBO and wait that out to see if who between the Josh Taylor and the Catterall fight. So maybe give yourself almost a whole year to get back to a resemblance of your past.
Yeah.
But for Prograis, man, he's almost like a man without a home. You know, if he ain't got one of the major promotional companies with television rights pushing you, even though he's a champion, nobody's really trying to check it. Like if I was, I don't know, man.
I mean, but shouldn't I give you more? Shouldn't I give you more flexibility in the sense that
it should? Yes.
How so? Because
it's like if he's one of the things is always about the TV. Like, is it going to be on ESPN or is it going to be on Showtime? What he can do is like they can work with whoever. Like say for example, Ramirez is with ESPN. So they can work under that. So it's like because he has no obligation to any other TV network.
But and then so now you're looking at the promoters, you know what I'm saying? Like I put my money in the building up Ramirez, this guy on an island, everybody thinks can beat him. So I can put Ramirez against Sandor Martin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, that's like
you could, but like Cam said, he does have the flexibility, right? Remember,
flexibility don't mean you in a good position.
I mean, there's
that's true.
Things. It's .com. It's like either you're in a flexible or you're in inflexible position.
Prograis don't check the boxes. That's what we were talking about in the pre-pro about mismanagement. Prograis don't check enough boxes. Remember, Miguel Cotto moved around the last third of his career as a free agent. He fought on whatever network he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. But Cotto checked all the right boxes.
He was an established superstar at that time.
Yeah. So Prograis is just like Willie Monroe. You know what I'm saying? You're a great boxer, but you're like you said.
No, come on.
He's not like Willie Monroe.
He's not like Willie Monroe.
With all
this guy has a belt. He's coming off a defining knockout.
Oh, hold on, but he just got that belt, and then before he got that belt, we won't talking like, oh, he's a free agent. He could do whatever. He just got into
he was kind of like the boogeyman of the division.
Remember, he's a two-time champ now.
Without that belt, so which one you think? I bet you his pockets ain't. I bet you Ramirez's pockets is bigger than Prograis.
Oh my God! You had to go there, Randy. What the fuck that got to do with anything?
Boxing is a business. Like, but
that's why I said we're gonna continue to have bad years.
He doesn't have the backing, so he's not gonna get the big fights. But now I understand he's trying to push it where he's like, yo, this is my money. I got the belt. I'm getting 65%. You getting 35%. But I kind of agree with Ramirez. I'm like, look, man, hey,
it's just like we should all.
If they thought he could beat him, they'd make this fight.
Exactly, and we should all just resign to that.
One thing I'm not doing is knocking Prograis.
You just did. That's all. That's all you
as
were
a
doing.
boxer. I'm not knocking Prograis as a boxer. I think he beats all they asses. But as a business side, he don't have the backing to get the money that he deserved at this point.
Randy, we have guys. We were talking about Demetrius Andrade before in the pre-pro. Andrade was undefeated with a belt on the same network as a bunch of other guys who were undefeated with belts, and they didn't make the fight. And the reason they didn't make the fight was not because of mismanagement or questionable business. He had all the stuff that you saying, Prograis.
It won't me. That was Cam that said the mismanagement.
No, right. But what the point I'm trying to make is that Andrade has all the things you saying Prograis don't have, and they still wouldn't make the fight.
No, I disagree. He does not have a fight-friendly style. Prograis has always been, and you want to see him fight. This guy,
he broke the last guy he fought. He broke his jaw and put him in the hospital.
Who was that guy?
The guy, the Irish cat. The guy who fought Shane Mosley Jr.
He's like top 25 or whatnot. Prograis.
You're talking about his fighting style, though.
Yeah, but come on, Andrade. But with this, we do need to. We're getting a little bit longer than 2. I do want to wrap it up, but I want to.
Jason Quigley.
I want to. Yeah, it was Quigley. I want to throw the coach before we end and say that if you were managing or even coaching Prograis at this point, what do you think that he would need to do to be able to kind of elevate his profile to get these type of fights that he, I think, deserves at this point?
So, wow, man, so I like his flexibility. You know, he can go a risky route and try to do something with a well-known up-and-coming, somebody that's in that 140. If he could fight somebody like the Antonio Russell cat, just with that name recognition and stuff as well, and the youth of that guy, and if he could get out of that fight, he could get past that fight. I like it. I like it if he could get past that fight and then kind of wait and linger and let Tank and Garcia do whatever they're gonna do at whatever weight they're gonna do, and then Garcia talking about coming up to 140 or whatever, jump on up in that thing. You know what I'm saying? But I would do something that I could do in the interim now that would still make me relevant. And if getting somebody that's an up and coming youngster and you stop that joker, that's still gonna make you kind of relevant, and it's gonna put that talk out there in the boxing world. Hey, he gave somebody a shot, he stopped this young kid, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? And then I would still be trying to do whatever it is that I need to do to sweeten that split a little bit, maybe to pull in, Teofimo or just try to see my biggest thing is waiting to see what's gonna happen with Garcia and Tank. And if Garcia move up, jump up on that thing and then try to blaze that little chunk, So that would be my kind of approach to it. But you got to do something now that will help keep your relevance. So you either gonna get a top name or you gonna get an up and coming where somebody might be like, "Woo, this youngster might get him," and this might be, So that would be the step that I would take.
I think that's a good point.
What about the opposite, Dave? What about established name? What about Adrian motherfucking Broner?
Okay. The only reason why I would say no to Broner is now you know what? Yeah, because the antics of it would still, I can see
he would smash Broner.
If I was BLK Prime, I'm like, Broner, go get my money. You know what I'm saying? We invested all this money. Now you go, and then Prograis is perfect because, like you said, he's a free agent. He can come in there. But if I was Prograis, the end of 2023, I want to run that back. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it at a catch weight. I'll do it at 143.
Now he definitely wants Josh Taylor. He definitely wants Josh Taylor.
I will run
Josh Taylor.
He definitely wants Josh Taylor.
We'll lose a draw on Josh Taylor's side when he fight Catterall. He's going to move up. He's going up to 147. So just be like, hey, I'll fight you at a catch weight, bro. But I
don't think he's going to make 140. I just don't see the guy look dead on that.
He like a motherfucking POW. Yeah, he looked bad.
Yeah, I don't see him making. All right, he gonna lose this is last fight at 140 anyway. He lose the belt or he loses on the scale. He gonna make this fight and then go to 147. If I was Prograis, I'd be like, look, man, catch weight. Let's run that back at the end of 23.
All right.
Yeah, man. That's a few options there, and I like.
I like that. I like that. I think that's a good way to close. I appreciate it. I think we all kind of finally agreed. All the pundits. I do like the Adrian Broner taking that fight and taking it to BLK Prime. I think that's a win-win at this point because of Prograis, his flexibility, and then even with the kind of heightened profile that you get with fighting a Broner, I think he's going to smash him and just kind of really just overwhelm him with his physicality and activity. But I like that. I think we should push for that. You know, the pundits of pugilism, we are pushing for that 2023 Prograis versus Broner. All right, but we need to go ahead and wrap up the show. This has been a lively show. We finally had all of the pundits back together or whatnot. So this is Professor Nails. I'm signing off for Boston Jared.
Peace.
Coach Dave. And the Casual Rand. Keep it popping, folks. Make sure that you like and subscribe. And we's out.